Greetings, men of 3301 onliners. I'm calling this week to send you this week's video on the discussion board question concerning women and people of color in top business positions in the U.S. industry. As I warned you last week, that could be a very heated and spirited discussion, and you did not disappoint, as many of you had some very good opinions about it. But I wanted to kind of weigh in on my 2 cents worth on the subject itself. Now, it is true that our business world, as well as our country, has a history of being somewhat discriminatory, and the presence and the perception of white males being dominant in American business. And the statistics do point out that a great deal, the high majority of top executive positions are held by white men. But what I want to make sure we keep into perspective is a couple of other factors involving this particular statistical viewpoint. Yes, it is true that white men do control most of the positions. Yes, it is true that women are on the rise and people of color are on the rise through corporate business, the corporate business world, and that there has been a higher level. In fact, statistics will tell you that the actual population in business graduate schools throughout the country is predominantly female, that the majority of people that are taking seats in colleges and universities throughout the country are heavily weighted toward the female. One of the other factors, though, that I think needs to be taken into consideration on this particular discussion, and a couple of you brought this out in your discussion board posts, is that it's more than just a statistical weighting of the number of people in those positions. When you expand the population to include women and people of color, you also have to expand the mindset and the desire for career advancement of those people. When the demographics get broader, then there are lots of other statistical impacts to that set of demographics. And here's what I mean. One or two of you brought out in your discussion board posts that yes, there is a rise of women in the workplace, a rise of people in color in the workplace. However, their drive and desire for advancement in the workplace differs from that of what could statistically be measured as that of white men. All that to say is just because there are more women in the workplace does not necessarily mean that those women are striving to seek those jobs that are higher up. You know, there are many positions and executive positions that are being taken by women and people of color. You know, take for instance just the political campaign that is going on for president right now. It was unheard of before that a woman would even run, but in the last couple of presidential elections, women have sought the nomination, and we even have a front runner in the Democratic Party that is a woman. We had a very prominent player up until last week in the Republican Party that was a woman. And, you know, I am very curious as to what it would have been like to have a Hillary Clinton versus Carly Fiorina campaign for president. That would have been a history-making and very interesting election to follow. But all that to say this, when people of color and women are striving through the workplace, you have to take into consideration the differences that those populations may have on the desire for those higher level positions. Some women may not want to seek the higher level position. Those that do are welcome to, and they are gaining ground, and there are more and more women. Is it equal? No. Is the pay equal? It's getting better, but it's still not there. Women are still earning at least 10 to 25% less than their counterparts in equal position of males. Is the color barrier being broken? I think so. I think that there are some great advances being made. Are there still stereotypes in American workplace? Absolutely. But what you have to understand is that wheels like this tend to grind very slowly. We're making advances, but it's not to say that we are failing simply because advances are not being made to suit someone else's time frame. God, in his own wisdom, made the world in 7 days. Now, we don't know if that was 7 24-hour days. In fact, I doubt it was, because part of God's creation, included from Genesis, includes the sun. And without the sun, you can't measure a 24-hour day. I don't know what a day to God was, but I do know that he created the world in his own time frame. And changes like this happen within their own time frame. It may not be exactly to what we consider to be right or fair, but we do need to celebrate the advances that we are making toward equality for women and people of color. My career now spanned for more than 30 years. Throughout my whole career, I would of 30 plus years, only 4 or 5 of those years have I worked for a male. The rest of my career has been my manager, and in many times their manager has been female. Now, as you can tell, I am a white male over 40. I have actually experienced discrimination myself. I was told for one position that they did not want a Christian in that position for fear that they may proselytize from the front of the classroom. I was also told that I was not suitable to be a recruiter because in the minds of a female executive in human resources, a recruiter needed to be young and female. And it wasn't until I presented a succession plan for one of the managers of a branch of our business, and it was submitted to the director anonymously, did she realize that I had the talent to be a recruiter, and ultimately extended an offer to me to join the recruiting staff. So all that to say this, we are getting better. Women and people of color are on the rise and contributing greatly to American business. White men still hold a majority of the CEO and top level positions of many of America's top businesses, but the numbers are changing. We're getting better. Let's celebrate the wins and keep fighting for the equality. There's still a lot of work to be done, and it's up to us as the next generation of business leaders in America to continue the progress and accelerate it if we can. Thanks for everything that you are doing. I hope you're enjoying these videos and the semester thus far. I know that you're in the middle of taking your exams this week, and I wish you well and pray for God's presence with you as you take your first exam. And we'll see you online.